Imagine discovering that the most terrifying force in your life, the exact thing causing your project delays, your inexplicable failures, and those absolute rock bottom moments, is actually doing it on purpose.
Right. And not out of malice, but completely unyieldingly out of love.
Exactly. I mean, we spend so much of our lives cursing bad luck. You get a flat tire on the way to a crucial interview, or, I don't know, your hard drive wipes itself the night before a presentation.
Oh yeah, or a relationship just suddenly shatters.
Yeah, and it is so incredibly easy to just throw your hands up and say, well, the universe is just chaotic. The dice rolled against me today.
It's the ultimate comfort mechanism for the human ego, honestly. We desperately want to believe that misfortune is just a statistical anomaly.
Like a random misfire in a giant cosmic lottery machine, right?
Precisely. A machine where sometimes, unfortunately, our number just doesn't get called. Because, if it's random, we aren't responsible.
But what if that lottery machine is just an illusion? What if you step into the world of ancient cosmic mythology and planetary influences, and you realize that the cosmological landscape is actually intensely personal?
That it's deliberately, meticulously designed to audit your every action.
Yes. So today, we are dismantling everything you think you know of bad luck. We are embarking on a massive, exclusively focused mission. We are exploring the life, the profound mythology, and the incredibly misunderstood cosmic influence of a single celestial figure.
A figure that has inspired sheer dread, awe, and endless fascination for millennia.
Exactly. Today, we are taking a deep dive into Saturn, or as he is known in the ancient Puranic texts and Vedic astrological commentaries, Shani or Sanashara.
And we are relying entirely on those ancient texts to reconstruct his entire biography. I mean, from the very moment of his bizarre birth to his ultimate unshakable role in the architecture of the cosmos.
And just a quick note for you listening, we won't be naming the specific source text directly, but we are pulling straight from their ancient, unadulterated wisdom.
Right, we are just imparting what's in the texts.
Exactly. And I have to tease this right now. The planet everyone fears as the terrifying bringer of doom is, likely completely the opposite of what you've been told.
Oh, totally.
We are going to uncover the surreal story of his birth from a literal, physical shadow. We'll explore the heartbreaking origins of his famous downcast eyes.
A gaze so deadly, it literally alters reality.
Yeah, and we'll reveal the shocking, frankly traumatic reason for his physical lameness. And most importantly, we're going to explain why he is actually the ultimate cosmic tough love benefactor.
It's quite a journey.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this, starting with his origins. Because to understand Shani, you have to understand the impossible environment he was born into. This isn't just a simple myth, right? It's a profound psychological drama about elemental extremes.
It truly is. The genesis of Shani requires us to look first at his lineage, which is defined by an overwhelming, almost suffocating power. He is the son of Surya, the sun god.
Okay, the sun god.
Yeah, and in this cosmological framework, Surya isn't just a glowing orb in the sky. He is the absolute center of the planetary system. He is the ultimate, unyielding source of light, heat, and truth.
Like nothing can be hidden in his presence.
Exactly. And Surya is married to a woman named Sangya, who is the daughter of Vishvakarma, the celestial architect of the universe.
I mean, on paper, that sounds like the ultimate power couple. The source of all life married to the daughter of the universe's greatest builder.
You would expect their existence to be this glorious, golden ideal of divine domesticity.
Right. But the texts present a radically different, far more grounded reality, don't they?
They do. Sangya is deeply, profoundly uncomfortable. Imagine trying to live your daily life, trying to have a conversation, trying to share a home in the physical presence of a nuclear reactor.
Oh, well, that sounds exhausting.
The texts are very explicit about this. Surya's blinding brightness and his consequent unendurable heat are literally burning her away. His nature is fiery, separating, and intensely bright. He lacks any capacity for shade, nuance, or cooling comfort.
I think we can all relate to that on a metaphorical level. Have you ever been around someone whose personality is just so intense, so demanding of the spotlight, so relentlessly on all the time that you feel completely drained just being in the same room?
Yes, absolutely.
Magnify that by infinity. Sangya loves him, and the texts say she bears him children, including Yama, who is a crucial figure later on as the god of death and cosmic law. But she is physically and emotionally reaching her absolute breaking point. She is suffering from total spiritual burnout.
Which forces her into a desperate corner. She knows she cannot survive this environment, but she also knows the duties of a celestial wife in this era. She cannot simply abandon her post.
So what does she do?
Well, she devises a plan that is brilliant, desperate, and incredibly dangerous. She decides to separate from her husband, but to do so without him knowing.
Okay.
She creates a perfect, identical replica of herself, and she doesn't use clay or magic water or anything. She creates this replica out of her own shadow. She names this creation Chhaya, which translates literally to shadow.
Wait, I have to stop you there because the metaphysical implications of this are just wild. She casts a shadow clone.
Yeah, a literal shadow clone.
If we think about shadows, especially in a psychological sense like the Jungian shadow, a shadow represents the unexpressed, hidden, or darker aspects of the self. The things that the blinding light of the conscious mind refuses to look at.
That's a great point.
Sangya is taking all of her fatigue, her secrets, her hidden desire to escape, and manifesting it into a physical being.
What's fascinating here is how the text plays with the concept of perception versus reality. Sangya tasks this shadow clone, Chhaya, with taking her place entirely.
Wow.
She commands Chhaya to look after the blinding sun, to act as his devoted wife, and to care for her existing biological children, including Yama. And to ensure the plan works, Sangya swears Chhaya to absolute, unbreakable secrecy.
So she just leaves her shadow behind and runs.
Pretty much. With the illusion set, Sangya transforms herself into a mare, a female horse, and flees the burning center of the solar system. She runs to the cooler, distant, frozen northern regions to perform austerities and finally escape the heat.
And here is the ultimate cosmic irony. The sun Surya, the all-seeing eye of the universe, the god of illumination who literally brings everything into the light, is completely and utterly fooled.
Completely oblivious.
He doesn't notice that his wife has been replaced by an absence of light. He embraces Chhaya, assuming she is Sangya. And from this incredible deceptive union between the blazing omniscient sun and the dark secretive shadow, our subject today, Sani, is born.
And that parentage defines every single aspect of who Sani becomes. Sani's dual nature is baked right into his cosmic DNA.
How so?
Well, the ancient hymns describe him as Chhaya Martananda Samputam, born of Chhaya the shadow and Martaanda the sun. He is the child of absolute blinding truth and absolute hidden deception.
That's intense. But how does that manifest physically? I mean, he doesn't come out glowing like a golden sunbeam, right?
Not at all. He physically manifests his shadow heritage. The texts describe him as shining like dark blue collyrium.
Collyrium, like makeup.
Yes. To put that in modern terms, think of the absolute deepest black of a starless void, or thick, rich coal. He absorbs light rather than reflecting it. He is a child of extremes, and his very existence starts in this complex, murky gray area between light and darkness.
But growing up in a house built on a lie, where your mother is a literal shadow pretending to be someone else, has to take a toll, and illusions that massive can't last forever.
No, they certainly can't.
The son is eventually going to figure out he's in the dark. How does the truth finally come out?
It unravels through the most grounded, relatable mechanism possible. Maternal instinct.
Really?
Yeah. Chhaya, despite being a shadow clone, is a conscious entity with her own feelings. And naturally, as time goes on, she begins to favor her own biological children over Sangya's children.
Of course.
She starts exhibiting blatant discrimination in the celestial household. Yama, Sangya's eldest son, who is already predisposed to strict fairness and justice, notices this. He sees that his quote-unquote mother is treating him differently.
And Yama isn't the type to just sit quietly and take it. He rebels.
Exactly. He confronts Chhaya. The argument escalates rapidly, and in the heat of the moment, Yama, being a powerful divine child, threatens her.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and Chhaya, terrified and fiercely protective of her own offspring, loses her temper completely. In a moment of sheer panic and rage, she places a terrible, devastating curse on Yama.
Which has to be the ultimate red flag for Surya.
Precisely. Surya hears this curse, and despite being oblivious to the physical swap for all these years, a fundamental logical truth pierces his ignorance. A true mother could never, ever curse her own flesh and blood with such malice.
This doesn't make sense.
Right. The cognitive dissonance is so sharp it shatters the illusion. Furious and feeling profoundly betrayed, Surya confronts Chhaya. The ancient texts describe a terrifying scene where he pulls her by the hair in a blazing fury, demanding the truth.
The sun literally shining a light on the shadow.
And the shadow cannot withstand it. Terrified, Chhaya blurts out the entire deception. She confesses that she is merely a shadow, a placeholder, and that the real Sangya fled years ago.
Wow. I want you, the listener, to put yourself in Sani's shoes for a moment. You are a young deity, and you suddenly realize your entire family dynamic is a fraud.
It's a lot to process.
It's huge. Your mother was a tool used by another woman to escape, and your father, the supposedly all-knowing god of light, was dumb enough to be tricked for years. This profoundly shapes Shani.
Unquestionably.
And he isn't a simple one-dimensional god of sunshine or a one-dimensional demon of the dark. He is born from the space where light fails to penetrate. It sets him up to be this profoundly misunderstood figure of immense depth and brooding gravity.
Which brings us to the next critical phase of his life, where that brooding gravity begins to manifest physically. As Shani grows into adulthood, the gods begin to realize that he is entirely unique among celestial beings.
In what way?
Well, it wasn't just his dark complexion or his heavy, slow demeanor. It was his eyes.
His eyes.
Yes, Shani possessed a gaze that was so potent, so concentrated with cosmic gravity, that it could literally alter the fabric of reality simply by looking at something.
Which sounds like a really cool superpower until you actually have to live with it. Surya, recognizing this, decides it's time for Shani to get married.
Right, it's that time.
But finding a bride for a guy whose stare can unnerve the gods is a logistical nightmare. Surya knows he can't just arrange a marriage with a delicate celestial nymph. He needs to find someone who can fearlessly look into the absolute void of Shani's eyes without flinching.
The search was exhaustive, but Surya eventually finds a remarkable woman named GazeThough. Now, GazeThough is not described with conventional soft beauty. She is described as having a fearsome, overwhelming presence.
Like intimidatingly powerful.
Exactly. She had a very dark complexion, much like Shani, and protruding eyes that the texts compare to tiny balls of fire. Her face was so intense, her spiritual power so palpable, that no one else in the cosmos could even hold her gaze.
Wow.
She was the immovable object to Shani's unstoppable force. They were perfectly equally matched in their intensity.
A match made in the deep cosmos. But this dynamic leads to one of the most tragic misunderstandings in the entire lore. And before we get into it, I think we need to aggressively correct a massive misconception about Shani.
Please do.
Popular culture, and even some modern astrological interpretations, love to paint Saturn as this pure malefic villain. A cosmic boogeyman who just sits around plotting ways to make your life miserable. But the source texts paint a totally different picture, don't they?
They absolutely do, and it is a vital distinction. Shani is explicitly and repeatedly described as a tapasvi.
Break that term down for us for those who don't know.
Sure. A tapasvi is a saintly, deeply spiritual ascetic. A yogi capable of immense, unbroken concentration and profound meditation. The heat generated by this meditation is called tapas.
So he's not evil.
No, not at all. Shani wasn't plotting the downfall of humanity. He was often lost in profound spiritual trance, contemplating the deepest truths of the universe. He was austere, dedicated, and highly principled. But, and this is the crux of the tragedy, he was also deeply passionate. He genuinely loved his wife, GazeThough.
But even for the gods, timing is everything, right? Walk us through this specific incident because it fundamentally alters the course of Shani's existence.
It happens on a day when their passions completely mismatch. GazeThough, feeling a deep surge of love and desire, approaches her husband with the urge to make love. She is seeking profound intimacy and connection.
Okay, totally normal.
But when she finds Shani, he is not present in the physical world. He is in the middle of a deep, impenetrable trance. He's completely lost in a state of prayer and high-level spiritual meditation.
Wait, so he's meditating so hard, he literally doesn't even register that his wife is trying to initiate intimacy.
Precisely. His concentration is so absolute that the external world ceases to exist for him. He inadvertently fails to read her signals and completely, though entirely unintentionally, ignores her advances.
Which, if we look at GazeThough's personality, this fearsome, intense, fiery woman, she is not going to take that well.
Not at all. GazeThough possesses a fiery nature that rivals the sun. To be ignored when making yourself vulnerable, when offering love, is a deeply painful experience for anyone.
Right, it hurts.
But for a being of her power, that pain instantly transmutes into dangerous, blinding rage. Feeling violently scorned by the husband she loves, she lashes out. In a fit of uncontrollable temper, she utilizes her own immense spiritual power and places a terrifying curse on Shani.
Oh my God, what exactly does she say?
She decrees that from that exact moment onward, whatever Shani casts his gaze upon will instantly perish.
Wow.
Yes, his eyes, already heavy with cosmic gravity, are now weaponized into instruments of mass destruction.
Okay, stop right there. That is a colossal overreaction. She curses his very gaze. If he looks at a celestial garden, it withers. If he looks at a mortal, they die.
Literally everything he looks at.
Now, If I am a god of Shani's stature, born of the sun, possessing immense ascetic power, my first reaction to being cursed by my wife because I was praying too hard is going to be fury.
Sure, that's natural.
I would rage against this injustice. I would appeal to Shiva or Vishnu to reverse it, or I would punish her for cursing me when I was faultless. Why doesn't he fight back?
This is exactly where the popular perception of Saturn falls apart and where his true character as a tapasvi shines through. If we connect this to the bigger picture of who he actually is, his reaction is breathtakingly noble.
Really? He just takes it.
He does. He doesn't get angry at GazeThough. The ancient commentators actually call Shani faultless in this specific scenario, acknowledging he did nothing wrong. Yet, he quietly, consciously accepts his fate. He doesn't retaliate. He instantly recognizes the devastating danger his eyes now pose to the universe.
He realizes he is now a walking weapon of mass destruction. So what is his solution? How does he manage this?
To protect all living beings, to protect the very fabric of the universe from his newly cursed deadly gaze, Shani makes a heartbreaking, eternal decision.
Which is?
He decides to forever keep his eyes downcast. He refuses to look up. He deliberately handicaps his own existence, choosing to stare at the ground beneath his feet, at his own toes for the rest of eternity, purely so he won't accidentally destroy anything or anyone.
The irony here is just staggering. I want you to really sit with this image. The planet that everyone fears, the celestial body that astrologers warn you about in hushed tones, is actually walking around staring at the floor just to keep us safe.
Exactly.
He is blinding himself to the beauty of the cosmos out of pure empathy.
It completely reframes his mythology, doesn't it? He is not a predator lurking in the dark. He is a protector bearing an unimaginable burden. This deliberate lowering of the eyes is a physical, constant manifestation of extreme humility and restraint. He is prioritizing the safety of the universe over his own right to perceive it.
It's incredible. Okay, so we know why he won't look at anyone. He's protecting the cosmos from his cursed gaze.
Yeah.
But Shani is famous in astrological iconography for two distinct physical traits, his downcast eyes and his severe limp.
Right, the limp.
How does this saintly, empathetic yogi end up lame? Because this brings us to one of the most chaotic, shocking, and philosophically dense events in the entire cosmic lore.
It truly is a pivotal moment, and to understand it, we have to shift our focus away from Shani's domestic life and travel to Mount Kailash. This is the sacred abode of Lord Shiva, the Destroyer, and his divine consort, the celestial mother goddess Parvati.
Paint the picture for us. What is happening on Kailash?
It is the ultimate cosmic celebration. Parvati has just given birth to a glorious, radiant son. This child is the infant Ganesha.
Ganesha, okay.
Now, a crucial note from the text in this specific epoch or cycle of time. The text notes that this child is actually an incarnation of Krishna, or Manu, making the infant incredibly spiritually significant.
Got it.
The birth of the Supreme Mother's child sends ripples of joy across reality. The entire universe is rejoicing. Every deity, every celestial being, every sage and ascetic is making a pilgrimage to Mount Kailash to offer their blessings and gaze upon the newborn divine prince.
It's the ultimate VIP event of the universe. And amongst this massive, joyous crowd of well-wishers, we find Shani.
Yes. Shani arrives out of a strict sense of duty and reverence, but he is a stark contrast to the revelry. While the other gods are beaming and celebrating, Shani is standing quietly, his dark presence muted.
Looking at the floor.
Exactly. His eyes cast firmly down at the stone floor of Kailash, ensuring his deadly gaze doesn't accidentally sweep across the crowd.
Eventually, it's his turn in the receiving line, right?
Hey.
He has to approach the throne.
He does. He approaches Parvati and the radiant infant. Parvati is overflowing with maternal pride. She sees Shani, this powerful ascetic, and she asks him to look at her beautiful infant son and offer his blessings.
And Shani must be panicking internally. He immediately respectfully refuses. He explains exactly why, doesn't he?
Yes, he tells Parvati about GazeThough's dreadful curse. He says, plainly and honestly, I cannot look at your child because if I do, my gaze will destroy him. He is trying to be incredibly responsible. He is giving her the exact terms and conditions of his presence.
But Parvati's reaction in this specific moment introduces a fascinating theological contradiction. The texts indicate that in this instance, she was operating out of vanity and dismissiveness.
Yes, she was.
She's a mother of the universe. She's the consort of the supreme destroyer, Shiva. She arrogantly tells Shani that no power in the universe could possibly harm her son. She essentially laughs off his warning. She doesn't just invite him to look, she explicitly, authoritatively orders him to lift his eyes and look at the baby.
It's a very tense moment.
Wait, hold on. This is where I have to push back on the lore. Parvati is the supreme goddess. She isn't just some arrogant mortal queen. She's a divine consciousness. How can she be this vain? How can she make such a catastrophic miscalculation?
This raises an important question about the nature of divine play, or lila, and the inescapability of karma. The text suggests two interpretations. One is that even divine avatars in physical form are susceptible to the blinding nature of maternal pride, a lesson to mortals that ego is universally dangerous.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the second interpretation?
The second, deeper interpretation is deterministic. This event had to happen. The karma of the universe required the child to receive the elephant head, and Parvati's momentary vanity was the cosmic mechanism required to force Sani into being the instrument of that destiny.
So Sari is caught in an impossible, unwinnable bind. He is being commanded by the supreme mother goddess. If he disobeys, he insults the divine mother. If he obeys, he unleashes the curse.
Exactly the dilemma. Compelled by her unyielding command, and perhaps hoping against hope that her supreme divine protection would somehow override his wife's curse, Sani hesitates, but finally, briefly lifts his gaze.
And the result is an absolute catastrophe.
It is instantaneous and horrifying. The very millisecond Sani's cursed gaze falls upon the infant Ganesha, the baby's head is violently severed.
Oh my God.
It doesn't just fall up, the text says it flies off and vanishes without a trace deep into the cosmos.
Just boom, gone. A headless infant bleeding in the lap of the mother of the universe. I can't even imagine the visceral shock, the sheer silence that must have fallen over Mount Kailash.
Yeah.
The music stops. The joy evaporates instantly.
It was absolute pandemonium. Parvati goes into severe catastrophic shock and faints dead away. The entire mountain of Kailash is plunged into a grieving stupor. The joy of the universe turns to pure, unadulterated horror in a fraction of a second.
Right. Is there anything they can do?
Fortunately, Lord Vishnu, the preserver of the universe, is present and acts with incredible speed and presence of mind. He immediately mounts his divine eagle Garuda and flies off in a desperate search for a replacement head. He reaches the river Shaya-putra, finds a magnificent herd of elephants sleeping with their heads facing north, beheads one, rushes back, and grafts it onto the infant's body, successfully saving the child's life and creating the beloved elephant-headed deity we know today as Ganesha.
Okay, so the baby is saved, though his form is forever changed. But the crisis isn't over. Parvati wakes up from her faint. She opens her eyes, sees her child who now possesses the head of an elephant, and the memories of what just happened flood back. And she turns her attention directly to the guy who caused it, Sani.
Yes, she locks eyes with Sani, and it is crucial to picture what Sani is doing in this moment. He isn't fleeing the scene, he isn't throwing his hands up making excuses.
He's just standing there.
He is standing exactly where he was, completely mute, his eyes cast firmly back down to the floor, deeply repentant and acutely apprehensive. He knows he just caused the greatest tragedy imaginable, even though he explicitly tried to prevent it. He is bearing the full weight of the situation.
But Parvati, waking up to this trauma, isn't thinking logically about who is at fault.
No, she is completely overwhelmed by a flash of residual, blinding grief and divine anger. Almost involuntarily, lashing out from a place of deep trauma, she curses Sani. She decrees that for this terrible act, he shall be crippled.
A second curse. First, he loses his right to look at the universe, now he loses his legs. But this time, unlike with his wife, the crowd actually steps in, don't they?
They do. The assembled gods, having witnessed the entire exchange, immediately protest. They step between the furious Parvati and the silent Sani and defend him vehemently.
What do they say?
They explain to Parvati that Sani is completely faultless in this tragedy. They remind her that he warned her explicitly. He outlined the terms of the curse. He only lifted his eyes because she, in her supreme authority, ordered him to against his own better judgment. He was a victim of her command.
Parvati has to walk that back.
Right.
Because they are absolutely right. She forced his hand.
She does realize it. As her anger subsides and clarity returns, Parvati realizes she is severely overstepped. She allowed her vanity to cause the accident and her grief to unjustly punish a saintly being who was only trying to obey her.
So does she just lift the curse?
Well, to make amends for this terrible mistake, she withdraws her wrath and instead blesses Sani immensely. She grants him supreme detachment, unparalleled spiritual concentration, and a remarkably long life. She officially decrees his status as a master yogi and elevates him to a prime, exalted position among the planetary deities in the cosmos.
That's a great apology package, but what about the crippling curse? In this mythology, once a curse leaves the lips of a divine being, it has mass, right? It has gravity. You can't just hit undo.
That is correct. A spoken curse alters the fabric of reality and carries inescapable cosmic weight. Parvati cannot entirely retract the energy she unleashed, but crucially, she softens it. She limits the crippling curse. Instead of total paralyzing destruction of his limbs, she reduces it to a mild lameness.
So he gets a permanent limp. He is forever marked by the trauma of Mount Kailash.
Yes, and this is where the mythology perfectly overlays with astronomical observation, which is brilliant.
Oh, how so?
This mythological lameness translates astrologically into Saturn being the slowest moving of all the major visible planets. It takes Saturn roughly 29.5 years to complete a single orbit around the Sun. His slow, deliberate, heavy pace in the cosmos, lingering in each zodiac sign for 2.5 years, is interpreted by the ancients as a direct result of this mythological injury. He is the lame god who walks slowly, heavily across the sky.
Okay, this is where we have to pivot from the ancient past to right now. Because all of this mythology, the deception of the shadow birth, the blinding curse he accepted out of empathy, the traumatic limp he earned by obeying a goddess, it is all prologue.
It is.
It is all set up for understanding his actual functional job in the universe.
Yeah.
How does this slow, downcast, shadow-born, crippled god affect human life? Because at the end of the day, that's what you, the listener, want to know. When you look at an astrological chart and see Saturn approaching, why do you feel fear?
This brings us to the core mechanism of Vedic astrology, and it raises a profound question about the nature of fate, action, and consequence. Shani's role in the cosmos is, essentially, the arbiter of karma.
The arbiter of karma.
Yes, he is the ultimate initiator of actions affecting human life. In astrological terms, he clears or authorizes each significant event via his transits.
I've heard him described as the celestial delivery boy, but honestly, after everything we've just discussed, that feels too light. He's not just dropping off a package, he feels more like a cosmic auditor.
I like that.
Right. The universe keeps a meticulous ledger of everything you've done, every kindness, every lie, every corner you've cut, every discipline you've maintained. And Shani is the terrifying auditor who walks into your life, freezes your assets, and forces you to account for every single moral cent you've spent.
Cosmic auditor is a vastly superior metaphor. It captures the inescapable reality of his function, and nobody likes being audited. When Shani enters a crucial phase in your chart, he demands accountability, but the texts note a crucial, often completely overlooked rule about his mathematical nature.
What's the rule?
His malignant influence when he is delivering the heavy consequences of your bad karma or forcing you to face your shadow causes one-fold harm.
Okay, so when he's punishing you, it hurts exactly as much as you deserve. 1-to-1 ratio.
Correct. But his benign influence when he is rewarding your good karma, or when you have finally learned the painful lesson he was trying to teach you, is doubly beneficial. It is a 2-to-1 return on investment. His anger rouses fear, but his mercy gives immense courage. He is not inherently evil or sadistic. He is inherently mathematically just.
I love thinking of him as a terrifyingly strict personal trainer. You know, the kind of trainer who doesn't smile, who stares at the floor, and who makes you want to cry during the workout.
Yes, exactly.
He isn't punishing you for fun. He's forcing you to lift the heavy weights of your own past actions.
Yeah.
If you've been eating cosmic junk food, being lazy, lying to yourself, treating people poorly, he's going to make you run cosmic sprints until you vomit. But the goal isn't the vomiting. The vomiting is just a symptom of your weakness leaving your body. The goal is the strength.
That is a phenomenal encapsulation of his energy, and the source text explicitly supports this framework. It argues that the real value of studying astrology, and the real value of dealing with Shani's difficult transits, is gaining the strength to rise above the pain, not seeking a magical means to avoid it. The text states a brutal, unyielding truth. Karmas cannot be avoided, and their results are inevitable.
You cannot bribe the auditor. You cannot sweet-talk the personal trainer.
You cannot. You just have to do the reps. Shani forces you to slow down. Remember his slow, lame pace. He forces you into his rhythm and look at the structural integrity of your life. If you have built your career, your marriage, or your ego on a weak foundation of lies or shortcuts, Shani's transit will knock it down. But he doesn't knock it down to leave you homeless in the cold. He knocks it down to force you to rebuild on solid rock so it can never be knocked down again.
Which leads to a really surprising twist about what he actually gives people.
Right.
Because despite being universally feared as this harbinger of doom, Shani is the sole planetary deity who grants the one thing every mortal desperately craves. He is known as the Ayurdaya Karaka.
Yes, the giver of longevity. He governs the span of our physical lives.
That feels incredibly counterintuitive. Why does the guy who brings the pain, the delays, and the audits also hold the keys to a long life?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of spiritual evolution, the why is deeply profound. In this philosophy, the purpose of a physical incarnation is to burn off karma and achieve enlightenment.
Okay, so you need time for that.
Exactly. You need a long life to have the time required to clear all your massive karmic debts. If you die young, your ledger isn't balanced. You just have to reincarnate and do the hard work all over again.
So his gift of time isn't just about getting to see your grandkids grow up. It's a functional requirement for spiritual liberation.
Exactly. Shani grants longevity so that you have the literal time necessary to endure the hardships, learn the agonizing lessons, and achieve true spiritual advancement. You cannot reach ultimate liberation if you haven't paid your cosmic debts, and Shani gives you the time to pay them.
Okay, so we've established that Shani is this unyielding force of karma. The auditor who always finds your address and demands payment. He operates on absolute determinism. Your past actions dictate your current suffering.
That's the baseline, yes.
But if that's true, where does human free will fit in? Does our agency matter at all? Are we just supposed to roll over and passively accept destruction when Shani's heavy transit approaches? To prove that human courage still profoundly matters, the texts dive into this epic, almost sci-fi story of a mortal king who literally went to war with Saturn in the vacuum of space.
It is arguably one of the most thrilling and philosophically rich episodes in the Puranas. It centers on King Dasaratha. Now, Dasaratha is not just any king. He is a legendary figure, a great scion of the famous Raghu dynasty, ruling the prosperous kingdom of Ayodhya. He is renowned as a brave, exceptionally just, and deeply spiritual ruler. He feels a profound sense of duty to his subjects.
But even great spiritual kings get bad news from their data analysts. What is this specific threat looming over Ayodhya?
The royal court astrologers come to Dasaratha with a terrifying apocalyptic prediction. They have been mapping the trajectories of the planets, and they warn the king that Shani is about to enter the constellation of Rohini. In Vedic astrology, the specific celestial event is called the Rohini Shakata transit.
And what are the mechanics of this transit? Why is it so bad?
It is catastrophic. The astrologers warn that if Shani's heavy iron chariot is allowed to pierce this specific constellation, the astrological friction will trigger an unprecedented 12-year famine on Earth.
12 years.
Yes. We are talking about total ecological collapse, rampant pestilence, the failure of all crops, and utter destruction. Millions of Dasaratha's innocent subjects will die agonizing deaths of starvation and disease.
So if you're a normal king, you react to this determinism by hoarding grain in your citadel, barricading the doors, saying a prayer, and bracing for impact while your people starve. But Dasaratha refuses to accept this passive victimhood.
Right. Advised by his royal sage, Vasishta, Dasaratha decides he is not going to cower. He decides on a completely unprecedented course of action, a bold physical intercept of a planetary deity.
Bold doesn't even begin to cover it. Dasaratha decides to personally confront the arbiter of karma. He dons his heaviest golden armor. He mounts his magnificent Oriat chariot, which is drawn by pure white celestial horses, and utilizing his immense spiritual merit and divine weapons, he actually launches his chariot 1.25 lakh yojanas up into the deep, dark cosmos.
It's an incredible image.
Let's translate that for a global audience. A yojana is an ancient measurement, but 1.25 lakh yojanas roughly translates to hundreds of thousands of miles. He literally flies his chariot into deep space to pull over Saturn, a mortal drawing a line in the vacuum of space.
He travels into the vast, freezing emptiness of the planetary spheres, and he strategically positions his glowing golden chariot directly in the anticipated orbital path of Shani's terrifying iron chariot. The text describes Shani's chariot as dark, heavy, and drawn by 10 multi-hued horses. Dasaratha essentially barricades the cosmic highway.
Okay, I want you to really picture this visual. Deep space. Shani's dark, brooding, crippled god with downcast eyes, driving an iron chariot forged from the weight of human sin, barreling relentlessly toward the Rohini constellation. And suddenly, this glowing golden speck of a mortal king parks right in front of him. The tension must be astronomical. What happens when they meet?
Shani breaks to an abrupt, violent halt. He is absolutely furious. He roars across the vacuum at Dasaratha, demanding to know if this puny mortal realizes he's obstructing the inevitable passage of a universal god. He orders Dasaratha to reverse his chariot and move aside instantly, or be destroyed.
And Dasaratha, showing nerve that defies logic, doesn't draw his sword immediately. He is a king of Dharma, he respects hierarchy, he respectfully folds his hands in greeting, he honors the god, but he flatly, unequivocally refuses to move.
Right, he stands his ground.
He pleads for the Earth's safety, he explains the famine, the starving children, the destruction the transit will cause to his innocent people.
But Sangya initially remains unyielding. He is the personification of inevitable karma. He roars back, Sneshura never retreats. He warns the king that if his passage is impeded, cosmic chaos will result. He prepares to advance his iron chariot, effectively threatening to grind the Golden King into cosmic dust.
And this is where Dasaratha earns his eternal legend. He doesn't flinch. When pleading fails and the god refuses to listen to compassion, Dasaratha fearlessly strings his divine bow. He prepares his weapons to physically attack the god of karma. He is entirely ready to die violently, fighting a planet just to buy his people a few more hours of life.
And this is a turning point of the entire Saturnine philosophy. If we analyze Sani's core personality, remember, he is not a monster. He is a saintly, detached tapasvi who values ultimate truth, discipline, and duty above all else. Sani looks at this mortal king. He sees a man vastly outmatched, facing inevitable death, yet preparing to fight a celestial body out of pure, selfless love and duty for his vulnerable subjects.
And Sani reacts to that.
He is deeply, profoundly moved. He admires the sheer guts. He respects a soul that takes supreme accountability and action rather than collapsing into fatalism.
Courage recognizes courage. The god of tough love recognizes a mortal who is willing to do the tough work.
Precisely. Pleased by this incredible display of valor and righteous duty, Sani actually halts his advance permanently. He smiles upon Dasaratha, his anger evaporating. He tells the mortal king that his bravery is unmatched, and he offers Dasaratha any boon he desires.
And Dasaratha, proving exactly why he is a great king, doesn't ask for endless gold or immortality or the destruction of his enemies. He asks for a single, selfless boon that Sani never cross Rohini's orbit for as long as the universe exists.
And Sani, bound by his word and honoring the king's selfless nature, grants the boon. He promises never to pierce Rohini's trajectory, thus preventing the apocalypse and saving millions of lives on Earth.
Overwhelmed with immense gratitude that his people are safe, Dasaratha drops his weapons. Right there in the darkness of space, he composes an extemporaneous hymn of praise to the dark god. This hymn becomes known in the ancient texts as the Dasavita Stotra.
And Sani accepts and blesses this hymn. He declares a cosmic loophole that anyone who recites this specific hymn with true devotion, understanding the discipline and courage it represents, will receive his blessings and be rendered immune to his most adverse, malignant karmic effects. Having delivered this grace, Sani peacefully reverses his iron chariot and alters his course, leaving the king in peace.
That story is incredible, but what does it actually mean for us?
Yeah.
To me, this proves that determinism and karma are not the end of the story. Sani isn't just a blind, unfeeling machine dispensing punishment on a schedule. He is a conscious force that responds to human agency.
Absolutely.
He respects courage, he respects accountability, and most importantly, he respects proactive effort over passive victimhood. Dasaratha didn't just sit on his throne and say, well, the stars say we're doomed, Sani is coming. He took massive action. He faced his deepest fear eyeball to eyeball.
That is the ultimate transcendent lesson of Saturn. He is the great reality check of the zodiac. He demands that you face your reality, however grim it may be, with the exact same courage Dasaratha showed in the cosmos. If you confront your karma, if you do the hard work, Sani transforms from an executioner into your greatest benefactor.
So let's pull all of this together and summarize this incredible journey we've been on today. We started with a god born from a literal shadow, a child conceived in deception who grew up navigating the agonizing gray areas between blinding truth and absolute darkness.
Right.
We saw him mature into a saintly, deeply spiritual yogi who, when cursed by his own wife to possess a deadly gaze, didn't seek revenge. Instead, he chose to blind himself to cast his eyes downward forever, just to protect the universe from his own involuntary power.
And we witnessed the horrifying trauma on Mount Kailash, where his strict obedience to a proud goddess led to the tragic injury of Ganesha and resulted in his own permanent, painful lameness. He bears the physical scars of the universe's karma.
The ultimate takeaway here is that Sani is not a monster. He's not a villain lurking in your astrological chart waiting to ruin your life. He is a deeply spiritual, profoundly misunderstood saint, tasked with the hardest, most agonizing, and most thankless job in the universe, auditing human karma and forcing us to grow.
He is the cosmic auditor. He is the relentless personal trainer who breaks down your weak muscles so you can build a foundation of stone. He gives you the pain you require to wake up and the longevity you need to figure it all out.
And I think that leads perfectly into our final thought for today, a way for you to take this ancient cosmic drama and apply it to your morning commute.
Absolutely. I want to leave you with this thought to mull over in your own life. The next time you experience a painful delay, when a project falls through, when a relationship stalls, or you feel completely crippled by an obstacle that just won't move no matter how hard you push, ask yourself a question.
What's the question?
Is this just random bad luck? Is it a chaotic universe picking on you? Or is it Samai's mild lameness, his heavy, deliberate hand actively forcing you to slow your frantic pace? Is he forcing you to build your inner strength, to look deeply at the structural integrity of your own choices, and to pay your karmic debts before you're allowed to move forward?
Is it a forced pause to make sure you're actually walking in the right direction? I love that perspective. It turns fear into purpose. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the shadows of the cosmos. Keep questioning, keep doing the heavy lifting of your own karma, and we'll see you next time.